So this isn't really so much a poem as kind of a biography in a way. The beginning part is called Tell Me. And then the part after that is called Home. You'll see why. I hope you like it. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me who you are. Tell me how you lived. Tell me what you thought about when you took your first breath. Tell me how scared you were before your first day of school. Tell me about the monsters in your room, under your bed, inside your closet. Tell me about the scary creatures that lurked in your dreams. Tell me about your first drink, your first smoke. Tell me about your first mistake. Did you learn from it? Did you strive from it? Tell me about your first love. Tell me about your first kiss, too. Tell me about your first breakup and how it hurt for days afterwards. Tell me about school and about how you skipped. Tell me about your first funeral, the first time you cried, sobs that came from the deepest part of your soul. Tell me about the moments that took your breath away, because I will surely tell you about mine. My dreams were always as real as my waking moments. Passages from my past, things better left tucked away during those vulnerable, quaint moments between waking and falling back asleep. It was cold, nearing June. Everything was starting over, flourishing, alive. Except to me it was all dead, and we were running from it. The rotting stench of lost hope and dashed dreams. We'd be safe soon, nestled in our new home. We were driving there now. I looked out of the window of our car, imagined a war breaking out around us, much like the war that was roaring inside of myself. I leaned my head against the cool glass, eyes shut, a chill seeping into my body, much like what the soldiers would feel right before they died, and fell asleep. As I awoke this evening to the smell of wood smoke clinging, like a gentle cobweb hanging upon a painted teepee. I never played cowboys and Indians when I was young. It seemed cliche, I guess. Bubba's, can we have a dance-off? A little girl, white as snow, but with Cree blood running through her veins, grinned. I was an outcast, a half-breed, born to a white mother and a red father. Society wouldn't accept me, but they couldn't disown me either. Yeah, we can. I was at my auntie's house in the town side, free to come and go as you pleased. We never did, though. Auntie's place was safe. Her yard was safe. The town site was feral. We grew up fast. Kids as young as 4 or 5 could cook, and we could all fend for ourselves. We knew the hardships of life before we were old enough to walk. Our mothers or fathers or both, long gone. For me it was my father, but my mother made up for it. She was everything to my little sister and me, both mother and father. I woke with a start. We were just leaving Hobima. H stands for hell. I glanced at the mirror. Goodbye. It was harder than I thought. Everyone I loved was there, everyone I knew. I wiped the hair out of my face, and with it the long, sought-after tears. I was 6 years old, hiding in the back seat of our minivan that was blue like the sky and twice as big. We got a call from my older brother, Derek. He was crying. Okay, Derek, we're coming. Breathe, son. Just breathe. Mom jumped into the blue four-door, tossed me and my cousins in, and we flew down the road. We'd found him. Bloodied, broken, and bruised. It was that day, that very day, that my 6-year-old heart found a new enemy, a new hatred, and its name was Denise. My brother got into the car, into my castle. It was safe here. I was in the very back, safe, out of sight and listening. He was crying and shuddering, speaking gunshot words. She hit me. We were arguing, and she pushed me, and I fell. Mom rubbed his back. A coffee mug. Mom, she hit me with a coffee mug and kicked me in the rib. Mom, I think my ribs are broken. My car. Safe. It's a castle. Denise was the dragon, and Derek was the knight, and Mom was his angel. And we were safe. In the back seat, I was safe. And we went home. I looked out of the window, noticing our whereabouts. Wetaskiwin. I'd never come here again. Shaking my head, I looked down at my feet. This place was a battlefield, a graveyard. Lost souls wandered the streets. Some sat on the corners, begging for their futures as if you had them like spare change in your pockets. When my father did come home, it was late at night when the spirits were alive. Don't look outside, my girl. Don't look outside at night. Why? You'll see something looking back at you. That was always his reply, and as a child I thought he meant the ghosts and ghouls he had told me about his stories. I was wrong. He warned me about the ones that lived inside you, the ones that kept you awake at night. But at that time I was too young to know that. I shook my head. I would not cry for him. No matter what his kids did, we would never be enough. He wasn't proud of us. We were dirt in his eyes, especially me, because my skin was white, not brown nor red. A fist became my hand, and I would not weep. I would not weep for him. Snack pack, all on the floor. Snack pack, give me some more. We heard the car pull in before we saw him. I galloped to the door like a racehorse finishing its last stretch, opening it wide and laughing at him. He was dancing up the driveway, singing. My brother was high and slightly drunk, but it was normal, and I loved him anyways. He was my hero, and I was just shy of 8. And he was still my idol. City lights flickered by, something that drew your eyes like a fly to a bug zapper, and I was glad we were leaving. I said my last goodbyes to a life that I would never live to its full potential. I turned away. It was raining, but my dad thought it would be a great idea for a fire. Somehow he got it started. Man, you can call it luck of a native. We lived on an acreage with trees taller than giants and a backdrop sky black as ink that was lit up in the distance by the quickened pace of lightning like spears. Dad, tell us a story, I begged. His stories sent shivers down your back and made you think twice about going out at night by yourself. And his stories were true. When I was 10 or 11, I was living in the bush, and I went out hunting one night, tracking the beast that was hunting down band members. I found it. It rose from the ground. I aimed, fired, met my target. And just as I put my weapon down, it looked at me, and a tear fell from its eye. These are things in the world that are real, but most people wouldn't know. You can't see them with the naked eye, but you can feel them. You can feel them with any naked heart. They whisper and talk, but only the people most in touch with Mother Earth can hear what they say. My father was one of those people. Dark. That's all I could really see. The outlines of hills raced by, trying to keep up. But we were too fast. No stopping. Not yet. We were so close. I could feel it. So wise in your words, my mother would say. Wise in the old ways. A wise soul to know a soul. Ever since I was young, I had a protectiveness about me, a knowing look, a battered knowledge that went way past my time. They were young. My sister and cousin, and I wanted to protect them from anything and everything, every ghost in their closet, every monster under their bed. Were my worst energies. And I sheltered them, and everyone else I loved. Stay back, stay here, I'll check it out, it's okay, I'll go get your activity, some dangerous, I'll go get your food, shh, we'll just watch TV, they're not fighting, things are okay, I promise, I promise, I promise, I promise, I promise. My house was always filled with activity. Some more dangerous than others. I always knew when those moments arose. At night, my brother would come home drunk, angry at the world. He'd crash and bang the house. I was always there when it happened. I was the brick wall, strong and ready to take on anything. Or so I thought. Warm lights, they were there, welcoming, almost home. Hope, it was filling me. I could hear my monsters screaming, begging me to come back. But I was already gone. I was saved. There was a game that all grade 3 and grade 4 boys played. The girls would gather on one side of the hill and the boys would gather on the other, outside in our schoolyard, and we would fight, both sides colliding and flashing the heart. The hill was no longer a hill then, but a mountain. We were no longer just kids, but soldiers fighting together, fighting for our friends whom we'd lost, fighting for ourselves, fighting our childhood memories. At one point, my cousin was beaten down. I was on the other side of the battlefield, torn and bloodied, or so my imagination made it seem. But I scrambled to get up, and I was flying, I was pouncing, and I was running at anyone and everyone in my way. There were 3 boys around her, and she was outnumbered. But I quickly scanned my resources and saw my chances, all 3 gathered on one side. I ran, and with a warlike yell jumped on the nearest one, hooting and hollering, till every one of them whimpered off. Tails tucked between their legs like cowardly dogs, I worked towards her, and we breathed a sigh of relief. We were safe. When I look back to Hobima, everything seemed ageless. We'd stay there forever. No one would ever leave. We'd live evermore. But that was not the case. And it never will be. Thanks, guys.